The following public service program is brought to you by the Metropolitan Library System. And now, read about it with your host, B.J. Williams.
We have a great show for you today, including a talk with author Sheldon Russell about his latest historical novel, Dreams to Dust, which is a story about Guthrie and the Land Rush. First, however, Fran Harbert from the Del City Library is here to tell us about a book she has recently read. Now, Fran, what is the book that you want to talk about?
It's Crimes Against Nature, and it's by Robert F. Kennedy, Jr.
And now, is that one of the famous Kennedys?
Yes, he is a nephew of President John F. Kennedy. It was his father, who was the president's brother, who was killed in California when he was campaigning. And this Robert F. Kennedy, Jr., the author, is an attorney. He has worked for many environmental groups. He's authored several books and newspaper articles.
Mm-hmm. So he's really, this is, protecting the environment is really his career.
Yes, I think he really started off with an agency that worked on the Hudson River in New York, trying to clear up its pollution. Mm-hmm. But he has a heart for this.
Mm-hmm. So what is the history of caring for our environment? Was Mr. Kennedy the first one to do that?
No, he wasn't. It actually goes back to ancient Rome. They had rules and regulations on their common areas that everyone used on what they could do and what they couldn't do. And you know, here in our country, our laws really are based on the Magna Carta, and it had rules on water use and also fishing rules. And then our country in the beginning had rules on environmental use, even rules on wildlife. And it wasn't until the Industrial Revolution that we began polluting. And he says, Kennedy says, that Earth Day in 1970 is when the consciousness was raised, and of course the country then had the Environmental Protection Agency. But as of late, in the last several years, we've had anti-environment groups like the Heritage Foundation and Wise Use.
Mm-hmm. I think it has come down to it's my land, I can do with it what I want, without reference to what happens to somebody who's a little bit further downstream.
Yes.
Is the impression I've got.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does this book have anything to say about gasoline and energy prices in particular?
Well, yes. It says that when Vice President Cheney formed his Energy Commission at the beginning of the first Bush 4 years, that this committee, this group of people were made up of people from the Energy Department. And not only that, but also the recent mining disasters that everything was made so lax.
Well, to find out more, you need to check out the book. It's available at your library. It's Crimes Against Nature by Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. Thanks very much, Fran, for being with us.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Donna Morris, Executive Director of the Metropolitan Library System. 2007 will mark Oklahoma's centennial year. 100 years is a long time, but public libraries have been part of this community since the very beginning. And we're still exactly the same as we've been all along, your primary source for information and entertainment. The delivery methods are different now than in the early days. Today we provide free wireless access, free internet access, DVDs, CDs, free programming for people of all ages, along with the traditional books, magazines, and newspapers. But what hasn't changed is our dedication to helping you find exactly what you need. Librarians continue to be the guides to the up-to-date world of information, and our librarians at MLS are the best in the business. So visit your neighborhood MLS library soon, and as they say in the world of libraries, come check us out.
Doug Benton is with me now, and that means that we get to share books that we have been reading.
Yeah, what have you got for us?
Well, I've got a book called Border Fury.
Oh, and it's about the National Guard down on the Mexican border. Huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, it's about the armies, the cattle thieves, and general no-goods that hung about both the English-Scottish border. It's actually takes a look at the great battles from 1296 to 1568.
So it really doesn't have anything to do with the Rio Grande Valley. Okay.
No, it certainly doesn't. It has more to do with Northumbria and Cumbria and Midlothian and all of those areas. There'd always been a problem between what was trying to become Scotland and the parts of the island that were run by the Danes, the Angles, or the Saxons. In fact, the kings of Wessex tried to become kings of Scotland. The Scots bore a grudge, and occasionally they would remind themselves that they had a grudge, and they would come raiding down into Northumbria or Cumbria. Once the Normans arrived, then the Norman kings would get irritated about that, put an army together, and head back up into Scotland and lay waste to everything, quite literally. Either murdering or running off all the peasants, destroying crops, burning villages, the whole bit. But starting with Edward I, who's known both as Longshanks and as the Hammer of the Scots, it got much more organized. And both the English and the Scots tended to actually put armies together. Sadler is an expert in this field. He has spent a great deal of his time. Apparently he's on friendly terms with everybody who has any papers that go back at any length in the area. So this is a wonderfully researched book, and he has access to a lot of papers that are still in private hands. He gives you a wonderful chapter setting the scene. This is what happened beforehand. This is why these people don't like each other very much. And then a chapter on this is how medieval warfare is conducted. And he has a wonderful facility for delineating a character in just a few words. And if I can find the passage, the last king, in fact, the one who ended the actual wars between England and Scotland was James VI and first. And when good Queen Bess died, he became the King of England. Stayed both the King of England and the King of Scots, two separate nations. But here's what Sadler has to say about him. James, as Fraser points out, has not enjoyed a good press, being spindle-shanked, slack-jawed, pedantic, cowardly, deviant, and deceitful. He was a man who could talk rubbish in a variety of tongues, who swooned at the sight of sword steel, never led an army, and in the final analysis never really got on with his English subjects. They, in order to redraft their relations with the Stuart monarchy, were obliged to cut his son's head off and eventually expel his grandson into romantic exile. Nonetheless, James had managed his troublesome and fractious northern kingdom with some elan. If nothing else, he had a better understanding of his border subjects than any English king since Richard III. I mean, that's a nice summation. So, Border Fury by John Sadler. You can find it at your local library. Coming up next, M.J. Van Deventer of the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum will be talking with local counselor Jean Hoffman-Smith about a book she just read.
Jeannie, welcome to Read About It.
Oh, thank you, MJ. I'm looking forward to talking with you.
Well, and you're going to talk about a book titled Why Read? Big question mark. And I think that's a very appropriate title for this show.
It's a wonderful book because it lets you know that the challenge today in universities is to help professors understand that their task is to get beyond what the young people are living with today, which is a world of entertainment and a world where they become spectators and a world where the consumerism is sort of the main thing. And he says they've got to understand that reading good books is where the truth is found, and they've got to identify with them inside, sort of.
Well, as a college professor myself, I know that young people really don't read.
That's right, and they're doing it less and less because of all the technology that we have today.
And they don't even read their textbooks.
Well, he wants them to read. He asks them a question the first day they come in his class. He teaches at the University of Virginia, and the question is, I want you to write me an essay on the book that you have disliked the most that you've read.
What an interesting
Isn't
approach.
that interesting? And then he asks them in the next essay to write about how they find themselves in the book.
Well, how interesting.
And so he tries to connect them sort of emotionally and psychologically, so they know that what they're reading about are some basic truths about human nature, and can find that in themselves, which you really can't find in entertainment, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. What did you learn from the book?
Well, I learned several things about authors that I want to do more reading about. I don't think I've ever paid that much attention to George Orwell, and he writes a lot about Orwell in there. And Proust, James Joyce, people that I found difficult to read. It makes me sort of think maybe it's worth the effort to struggle with them, because he says it is worth the effort because you learn so much about yourself. And as a social worker and therapist, I find that I want my clients to do more reading.
So you're going back to some rather traditional authors.
Yes, absolutely.
And learning the lessons of life from them.
Absolutely.
So, well, it sounds like a fascinating book. It's written by Mark Edmondson.
Yes.
And something that we all should probably pick up, take off the shelf, and read.
I think so. I've given several copies of it to friends of mine who teach, including my son-in-law, who's a professor. So
Isn't giving a book the best thing?
it's terrific. Yeah, I think
Really,
it's the
when
best thing
someone
you can
gives
do.
you a book, it's just really a prize.
It is a prize. Yeah.
And this one sounds great.
Well,
Thank you so much for sharing this morning.
You're welcome.
And come again.
I would love to.
Doug and I are back, and this time Doug has something for us, but it doesn't look like he's been reading.
No, not this week. You see, it's very thin. It's a DVD we just added to our collection of the movie Walk the Line, which is one of the Academy Award nominated films last year. In fact, I think this was a kind of a sentimental favorite for a lot of people, and some of us were thinking that it probably won't win, but I wouldn't mind if it did. You know, it's the sort of a biography of Johnny Cash, the well-known American country singer.
Well, now, I haven't seen the movie, but I did enjoy Johnny Cash's songs, so.
A lot of them are in here. The film stars a still young actor named Joaquin Phoenix, whose face will probably be familiar to a lot of people, even if his name isn't, because he's done a lot of stuff. But he trained himself to sing like Cash, so when you hear the character of Johnny Cash singing in the film, it really is Joaquin Phoenix, unlike Jamie Foxx's performance as Ray Charles the year before, because he lip-synced that. Phoenix was nominated for the Oscar for Best Actor. He did not win, of course. His co-star in the film was Reese Witherspoon, who was surprised a lot of people with the depth of her performance. I think a lot of folks think of her as Legally Blonde, kind of a perky, cute little blonde. But she was June Carter, later June Carter Cash, in the film, and she did win the Oscar for Best Actress. I like the movie a lot. It covers the first part of Cash's career, up to the point where he and June married. This is the time that he was fell into drug use pretty heavily, so we see him suffering from that and working his way through those problems and coming out on the other side. So more than just the biography of a musician, it's also the story of a man who has a lot of personal demons through his drug use, and also from his father, from his family relationships, and who is just determined to get through it, and with the love of a good woman does manage to work his way out to the other side. There are a lot of songs in here. Some of them you don't hear the whole song, but you're constantly going, oh yeah, I like that one, I remember that one. And the sequence at Folsom Prison is wonderful. I mean, after I saw the film, I saw some tape of Cash doing that first performance at Folsom Prison, and it didn't look as real as what I had seen in the film. I think that was a marvelously recreated segment. The picture was written and directed by a man named James Mangold. The movie was nominated for an Oscar. Of course, it did not win, but it's a lot of fun, I think, and very touching in a way that a lot of movie biographies don't get to you on the emotional level.
Well, they are certainly iconic figures in music in this country. I mean, I'm not a great fan of that genre, but even I enjoyed Johnny Cash. So Walk the Line, you can check it out at your library and play it on your DVD. Great, thanks Doug. Coming up next, we have Kids Corner. Kelly Rhea will be talking with Heidi Johnson about some books for our very youngest readers.
Hi, today Heidi Johnson from Tech Processing is here, and she's brought 2 fabulous children's books. The first one is called Chicks and Salsa. Did you like this one?
Yes, I really loved it. It's such an unusual story about barnyard animals that get a craving for Southwestern cuisine. So they've been watching cooking shows through the window. The farmer's wife was watching. So they start pilfering the garden. The chickens are tired of the chicken feed. The ducks are tired of fish. The pigs are tired of their slop. So they all decide they're gonna have a big fiesta and make salsa, guacamole, nachos, and they're all having a great time and decide, let's have a big festa and invite everybody in. And they're getting ready to decorate, and they get dressed up in their costumes, and they go in the garden to get some more of the good food. Farmer's wife used it all to make tamales for the state fair.
Oh my
So
goodness.
big disaster struck, and so they canceled the party, and everybody went back to their tired old food, except the rooster.
Wait, don't tell me
Okay.
that part. It's got beautiful, vibrant pictures. It's a beautiful book. It's very fun, and I know that they'll enjoy that. Chicks and Salsa. It's by Aaron Reynolds. Tell me about the second book.
The second one is called The Trouble with Tilly Trumbull. Tilly Trumbull is a lady that loves old chairs. She goes to garage sales, to chuck-out sales, as she calls them.
I know people just like that.
Yes, and she finds these wonderful old used chairs, as she puts it. With daisies on them, polka dots, straight ones, wobbly ones, rickety ones, creaky ones. She doesn't care. She loves them all. She has one spot left in her house, and she thinks she needs to find the perfect chair to put it. The perfect four-legged thing to put there, as she put it.
Okay.
Little did she know that the perfect four-legged thing that would end up right there is a dog that comes to visit. And she doesn't want anything to do with him at first. She'll just feed him this one time. Well, you know how that goes. The one time turns into a permanent.
Oh.
But as it turns out, he occupies that spot right there by the fireplace until he realizes that's what was needed to fill
That's
that
what was
empty spot.
missing. Oh, that's a
Right.
good story. It's called The Trouble with Tilly Trumbull.
With Tilly Trumbull.
And it's by Lynn
Manuel.
Manuel. We hope you'll find it at your local library or at your favorite bookstore. Thanks.
Sheldon Russell is a novelist who presently lives in Guthrie. He has written several books, and his latest is Dreams to Dust, A Tale of the Oklahoma Land Rush. And I'm going to ask my usual question, what inspired you to write this particular novel?
Well, I live in Guthrie, and we have a Victorian apartment above a studio and gallery. And I can look out my window and see the tracks where in 1889 trains came in from the south and from the north every 15 minutes and unloaded 12,000 people in 24 hours. And they ran right up the hill, right up past my window. So you can't live there without being inspired to write this book.
Now, I'm assuming that you did a fair amount of research before you sat down to write a work of fiction.
Lots of research, particularly with a historic fiction book. So I spent a lot of time in libraries. The first thing that you do is make friends with the librarians.
Oh, that's wonderful news.
They've saved me many times. And the museums, of course. And then I did some traveling with it as well. But the thing about Oklahoma history is it's very recent. So it's available history. And there are wonderful pictures, historic pictures, and all kinds of things that you can find. Diaries.
Now you have, one of your major characters is a Kiowa half-breed who is a lawyer and is returning. His mother actually, she met the cavalryman that she hooked up with in western Oklahoma. He's gone back east, he's become a lawyer, and he's decided that he's going to make it rich here in the Oklahoma Territory. Was he modeled on somebody in particular?
Creed McReynolds was not particularly. He was a young boy in one of my other books that was expelled from the territory. and is returning to seek riches and revenge in a way. Many of the other characters in the book, however, are based on historic figures.
Now you have a newspaperman that actually rides in on the same train that Creed McReynolds does to Guthrie, and I'm assuming he was based on somebody.
Well, of course, Frank Greer historically is important in Guthrie, and he owned one of the first newspapers in the territory. And he came to Guthrie with just a few dollars in his pocket. Actually, he was a Sooner. And
A lot of people were.
They were hiding in the sagebrush.
Right.
And, very quickly parlayed his $90 that he had in his pocket to become one of the most powerful men in Oklahoma, and in many ways was responsible for the fall of Guthrie.
Which is actually part of your story. You start with Guthrie just springing up overnight. That's a cliche, but that's what really happened. That's what happened.
It was like a depression opened up in the earth, and everybody that didn't have a good hold on things just come sliding into Guthrie. And within 24 hours, there were 12,000 strangers all living together on a hillside in tents with no water, very little law. The lots had been surveyed, but most of them had been surveyed incorrectly. So people were living in alleys, what became alleys. So there was lots of conflict from the outset.
Well, and as you had mentioned when we talked earlier, there was, you said, very little law. The only law was the U.S. Marshal, and the seat of justice was actually in Fort Smith.
Yes, there was very little law, particularly early on. The only people in Guthrie were railroad officials and the law before the run. And of course, many of them had staked out the prime lots before the trains ever arrived.
Well, they were there. They didn't have anything to do.
This is true. Still true for out there.
Well, actually, one of your characters is a deputy marshal by the name of Buck, and that gets into an interesting part of Guthrie history that I think very few of us are aware of.
Yes, blacks have played an important role in Guthrie and in Oklahoma, the settlement of Oklahoma, from the beginning. And Buck is based loosely on a black deputy from Guthrie who used to tie his the people that he captured. He would tie them to the wagon wheel and lecture them. So I thought, well, this, so my Buck is hexed, and which makes him an interesting character, I think. He's one of my favorite characters in the book.
Well, I liked his line when he met up with Creed and a couple of the other guys was, I talk at night. You may hear me talking when I'm sleeping at night, because apparently that was when he communed with his voices. I thought,
that's right.
Oh, that'll make you feel secure with a strange person.
And of course, Guthrie's renowned for having tunnels under the street. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. So I've got the tunnels in the book, and I've got a young orphaned boy who lives in the tunnels and has certain visionary abilities. I take these historic characters and then I take artistic license with them to make them come alive and make them real. So the history in the book is fairly accurate, the sequence of events. And of course, everything hinged, as we all know, on Guthrie becoming the capital. Everybody knew it was going to be the capital. If you go to Guthrie today and look at the old publishing museum, you'll see on top of the tower a dome, a Capitol dome. That's how certain they were that it was going to be the capital. And guess what?
It didn't turn out that way.
Didn't turn out that way.
Which is part of what you get into in this book. That the story begins with Creed coming into Guthrie right before the run, and ends with everybody just apparently got up and ran down to Oklahoma City when they, the way I heard it, when Oklahoma City stole the capital away from Guthrie.
We still believe that in Guthrie. That's exactly how it happened. Guthrie was born in a day, and it died in a day. Within 24 hours after Guthrie lost the capital, property values dropped 80%. And Guthrie just virtually froze in time And so the architecture, it has beautiful architecture, as you know. Basically, it's because nobody cared enough to tear it down. And so today, we're considered one of the top 12 historic sites in the nation to visit.
It's a lovely city
Yes, it is.
to come and look at. And as you said, it's frozen, it's a snapshot. I like the way you described that ending. Our hero, Creed McReynolds, had been out of town continuing his quest to be very, very rich. He comes back
Acquiring homesteads.
Acquiring homesteads. He came back to a ghost town. I thought you did a wonderful job of describing that.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you very much for being with us and telling us about Dreams to Dust. Dreams to Dust by Sheldon Russell. You can find it at your library and your favorite bookstore.
Hi, I'm Donna Morris, Executive Director of the Metropolitan Library System. 2007 will mark Oklahoma's centennial year. 100 years is a long time, but public libraries have been part of this community since the very beginning. And we're still exactly the same as we've been all along, your primary source for information and entertainment. The delivery methods are different now than in the early days. Today we provide free wireless access, free internet access, DVDs, CDs, free programming for people of all ages, along with the traditional books, magazines, and newspapers. But what hasn't changed is our dedication to helping you find exactly what you need. Librarians continue to be the guides to the up-to-date world of information, and our librarians at MLS are the best in the business. So visit your neighborhood MLS library soon, and as they say in the world of libraries, come check us out.
Doug is back with me. That means it's Writer's Almanac time, and you're clutching a piece of paper.
Right, a couple of people this week, but they're not writers.
Uh-oh.
May 29th, 1896 was the birthday of the American film director Howard Hawks, who was actually a screenwriter but never took credit for it. And May 31st, 1860 was the birthday of Walter Sickert, who was a famous Victorian painter and has been identified more than once as Jack the Ripper.
Aha.
But you know what? He wasn't.
But lots was written about it.
Absolutely.
And you can find out more about all the books and everything we've talked about today by going to your local library and going to our website, www.metrolibrary.org. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again next time.